All right, guys, Paul here with OK to Farm. Today we're going to talk through seed selection and how you pick what you're going to grow. So not just seed selection, but the type of plants that you're going to buy. One thing that I've found and that has taken me a long time to figure out, and I'm still learning, is what type of seeds to pick and what types of plants to grow to meet my goals. So if you're like us, it's snowing outside right now. We're in Oklahoma, where we get some pretty harsh winters in January and February, and without a grow house, you really can't grow anything until right around the first frost date or last frost date, which for us here is right around April 11th. So picking the right plant is important, and picking when you plant them is important. So we're getting ready to start planting for grow house, and we'll put those together and start planting right now. In about 4 weeks, we'll transfer that outside into our greenhouse, and that'll be right around the end of January. And the plants that will grow are plants that like colder environments, so things like cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and the dark green leafy vegetables like kale and spinach. So we'll plant those early. That'll be our spring crop, and we'll do a couple different plantings of those a couple weeks apart. And so we selected those plants, and what I did was went online, and you can go to several different places and you can pick out plants that are early spring and are a little bit more tolerant to the cold. And then as we go into the season, you start getting into the hotter summer months. You got to look for plants that say that they're drought tolerant, heat tolerant. You can buy some lettuces and some other vegetables that are better for that. And then of course you have your standard summer crop, your tomatoes and cucumbers and things like that. So the time that you plant and the type of plant that you buy are really important. There's also some other things that I didn't know about until very recently, and that's the type of seeds that you buy. So there's a couple different options. And the biggest thing that I've found is, and I have a couple examples here. I have a lettuce leaf or a lettuce plant, and this seed is pelletized, and we'll see if you guys can actually see that or not, but it's got a coating on it. So that seed is actually really small. Lettuce seeds are really, really small, and it makes them really difficult to handle. And so what seed companies have started doing is pelletizing them, so you can actually grab it with your hand, and you're not double seeding in your planter or wherever you're planting if you're direct sowing. That makes things really easy. On the other hand, I have an example, and it probably will be really hard to see, this is a broccoli seed, and it's really tiny, and that's actually a pretty decent sized seed to handle, but it can be a lot more difficult. So anyway, pelletized is good because it's easy to handle, but you have to be careful, because sometimes if you don't water enough, this coating breaks down in water. And if you don't coat it enough or don't water it enough, sometimes the seed won't break through. So your germination rate may be a little bit lower. So you just got to watch it. It's kind of a trade-off. And at the end of the day, pelletized is a little bit more expensive as well, because there's some extra work that's being done by the manufacturer or the producer of this, but it makes things a lot easier. These are also a little bit better if you're direct sowing and you're using something like, a mechanical seeder, that you need to have something with a little bit bigger bite to it so that that machine works better. If you're sowing by hand, it also makes it a lot easier. So I'm an advocate for these, but you got to appreciate the fact that in some cases your germination rate will be a little bit less. So, and then like I said before, so just to kind of recap, the type of plant that you buy, based on your zone, we're zone 7 here, when you buy them and when you plant them is really important. There's a lot of really good tools out there, and I'll link to some of those that I use that can give you when your last frost date is for the year. And then if you use that, you can put it in some calculators, and it will tell you based on what you want to grow when you should start growing. So if you're doing like us, and we're going to start our plants inside, it'll tell you, when to start indoors. And then, 4 weeks later, it'll tell you that's when you want to transfer outside. So tons of tools out there, lots of research to be done, but you're not in it alone. So I'll link to some of those tools in the description. And like always, help me out. Subscribe to my channel on Facebook at OK to Farm, and then the same OK to Farm on YouTube. Like, follow, subscribe, and stay tuned for more great content. Thanks.